Hi, this is Darren Porter, and we're here in Stockholm for the Future Sound of Sweden.
So, how you doing today, Darren?
I'm good. Slept well last night, so I'm feeling fresh.
First of all, congratulations. You just turned the big 30, right? 30.
Yeah. It's kind of congratulations, but it's kind of, what you call no more 20s. You're out of your 20s, it's gone. So, yeah. But thank you. I'm 30 now, so time to grow up and move on.
So how does it feel? I'm 30 in like 2-3 days, so I need to know how it feels.
I don't think it's really hit home yet. When you start, I haven't wrote my age down. I think when I write my age down, I say the 3, then I'll probably start, I'll give you a better answer then. But right now, I still feel exactly as I was. You're only as young as you feel, so.
And hold it up to the camera.
So yeah, now I've wrote it down. Now I feel old. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, yes.
I'm just curious, because we're pretty much the same age, right?
Pretty much.
I'm 30 in 3 days.
Well, that's pretty much the same age. Yeah. I don't think there's anything different, really. You're only as old as you feel. It's only a number, really.
Yeah.
When you start thinking about what you've achieved and what you haven't achieved and how long's left, and that kind of puts a big depression on it. But I'm happy what I've done. I'm through my 20s. It's been very varied, and so I'm happy doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, I have no problems with how old I am.
How do you see yourself compared to like 10 years ago, entering your 20s compared to entering the 30s?
I think entering your 20s, you're very sort of gun-ho and just don't really care about the world. You're still a young kid. You're still young. You still, when you enter your 20s, you still feel like a teenager. You doesn't realize until you get in your mid-20s, like, oh, I'm close to 30. And I mean, everybody's going to be different. But for me, I remember being very young, and I was young for a while, and just doing what young guys did, really, on the cars and going out and that kind of thing, and didn't really sort of think about the future so much, which was a bad thing to do. But yeah, as you approach your late 20s, you start to think a bit more, and you be a bit more serious. So yeah, if anything, I'm embracing the fact I've turned 30.
That sounds like a healthy way to tackle it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go through all of your life kind of thinking, yeah, just whatever, and you got time. You got to have some plans. You got to have some kind of strategy. You have to grow up, really, and we all grow up eventually. So yeah, I'm growing up, and feels good.
I'll call you on my 30th birthday crying, and I need these advices from you.
You will call, and you see right now you're still in your 20s. You feel like you're in 20. When you hit the 30, it'll be, yeah, it's like a new day, new life, new start. Okay, what now? Things you have to be a bit more serious and think hard. I'll expect the phone call, and we'll talk about it then.
Beautiful, thank you. You have your background in writing scores for movies and TV. Is that something that you still do as well?
I say I score movies. I mean, they're not exactly big Hollywood blockbuster movies or anything. They were sort of independent and small indie movies, really. I enjoyed it. It was a lot more creative. You got complete freedom, dictating emotion, which director sort of tries to portray with images. You've got to sort of marry that up with music, and it's a lot more challenging. There's a lot more work goes into it. I thoroughly enjoy it, and yeah, I'll always leave the door open to go back to this. Absolutely, I would never turn any sort of work down for that. So that's where I came from. But equally, trance music is just as important.
But looking at composing for movies and TV, you had an emotion to work towards, right? You had screens, or you had something to look at. What do you see like when you produce trance? What do you keep in mind for that?
You kind of just make your own images. I mean, this goes into the very delicate subject of what trance is. It's very subjective. So if you try to ask anybody to visualize what trance music is, whatever image you have in your head, it'll probably be different to my image. But the image I have in my head, I write music to that image, and that's to me what trance is. So it's, yeah, it was a good question, actually. You can't really put into words what you see. You need to see what I see for me to explain it.
We can hear what you see, right?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, you can. Breakdowns and stuff, that's where it all comes out, if you know what I mean. The whole sort of ambiences, I think of it as kind of an arena, and you build your sound inside this arena, and this to me is what trance is, and the feeling and emotion and the energy inside there as well. Contrast between the hard and the soft, and the aggressive and the gentle, and this whole marriage together is trance music, and that sort of sensation you get when listening to it. That to me is what trance is, and that's what I try to make.
That's a good answer right there. So how did you move from being a composer to composing trance music like that?
It started early on. I always listened to trance music. I always listened to, I mean, I grew up with the sort of the classical era, the late 90s, early 2000s trance through school. And I was approaching college, and I'd done music production at college and university, and I always listened to trance music, but this is where I started learning the trade with movie scores and stuff. And it was in the mid-2000s I decided to try my first trance track. And I mean, it wasn't the best. It was far from it. But the ideas were there, and I kind of thought that I can probably do this, I think. So it was a hobby, really. Just every time I had some spare time not doing any sort of TV or movies, I would do some trance and build on that. And when it all started to get the ball rolling is when I entered that DFPS competition in the late 2000s. And I won that. I thought, I can probably do this. So it kind of evolved over time, and then moving over to Germany and having to make it work, kind of make you put your head down out of necessity and make it really work. And yeah, I kind of grew from there. So I ended up sort of evolving into trance. It wasn't a sort of today I'm going to make trance from now on. It was like an evolution.
We had a little chat before, and you told me about three top moments of your career. The first one was signing a track. How hard was that?
It was hard. I mean, when you first start out or you want to get involved in the business and you have no idea how it works, you have this kind of idea of you sign a record contract, that's it. So one of the biggest goals was getting your first contract. Now, looking back now, it wasn't that big. It's not that big of a deal. But at the time, it was a huge deal because that is a sort of I've signed a track that somebody wants to use and somebody wants to buy and promote, and that's something I've done. So that was a goal, and it was an awesome feeling when it first happened. So yeah, that will always be in one of the best feelings and top moments in the career, absolutely.
And you started producing in 2003, but you signed your first track in 2009, right?
Yeah.
Termination. What happened those 6 years?
That was the evolutional period between, I say I'd done university and college, and then I was doing a lot of independent movies. Obviously, the people at college and university, they were doing indie movies and TV shows. So a lot of my time and work was in that. So the reason why it took so long was because that's how long it took for me to sort of evolve and take on trance full time. I had to sort of learn a new trade, if you will, in production techniques, because the stuff I was learning at college and university didn't really help in electronic music production, because when I was at college and university, it was all analog and tapes, and it was very different. And you would learn how to record an orchestra or mic up a drum kit in a live band, but it didn't really help me very much with trance production. And you have to learn the elements, you have to analyse it. And through your 20s, I didn't have the kind of determination that I do now, except as we said earlier, you're a bit young. And so, yeah, that's the reason why it took a while to happen. 6, 7 years, yeah, that's quite weird.
Yeah, but it turned out it's a good release, Termination.
That was the entry that I put into that DFPS competition, and some labels contacted me after I won this, asking if they could release it. And I was like, wow, really? This is awesome. Absolutely. So, yeah, I remember the day very well. I was very, very excited and very happy. And it was a sort of a definitive moment for me to say, okay, right, now we can start looking at this a bit more seriously, see if I can really make a go of this stuff. And been learning and improving every distance.
If you could go back right now and tell yourself something that day, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. Not really tell myself something, but make myself aware that I might have been a little naive. Not everything is what you expect or seems. You always learn something new, and which will alter how you do things in the future. Then there's something else will happen that sort of defines your path and how you approach the business, how you approach work. I wish I kind of knew what I knew now then. But if I knew what I knew now then, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, because I would have made different decisions based on that. So if I would tell myself anything, no, I wouldn't. I would like to learn, but I would like to make the mistakes I've made and learn from them. It makes me who I am now. So I wouldn't change what I'm doing now for anything.
Secondly, you told me that the second thing was to do a collaboration with your idol.
Well, I mean, we all have our inspirations when we first started, and about 2008, 2007 maybe, I started really listening to trance, and it was Sean Tyas who sort of made me listen. That whole aggressiveness that he put in those early tracks was definitely something I was interested in, and he helped me, by listening, he helped me get involved into trance. I always wanted to work with him, just based on that kind of, he gave me inspiration on that, so I always wanted to work with him because of this. And again, so that's moment number 2, when the opportunity came along, we did a track, so that was really good. But I'm sure there'll be many more.
And your collaboration with Sean, or your connection with Sean, even turned into a real friendship, right?
It has, yeah, it did. I mean, it's no secret. We talk pretty much every day, and because we both have a similar backgrounds. He moved over to, I mean, you probably know his story anyway. He moved over to Germany in studio work, not knowing the language, not having any friends or family around. It was very lonely and not really established in the scene and stuff. And the same for me. When I moved to Germany, I couldn't speak the language, didn't have any friends, and we had a lot in common. And we both did it out of necessity, and we both kind of had the same ideas, and we got on. And so outside of the professional world, after we worked together and things, and we sort of talked and we became friends, and it's really nice for that to happen. So I'm proud that we're friends now.
You actually also became the new A&R manager for Tytanium Recordings.
Yeah, privileged role really. It was sort of nice to be offered the chance to do that. But at the same time, it's very difficult to be in A&R because you have to kind of reject stuff which otherwise is really good. But sometimes you have really sort of strict guidelines of what you really want to hear. And the most difficult part is rejecting people, because I know from personal experience how hard it is to get rejection from somewhere you really want to be. And there's a lot of people who want to sort of be on Tytanium because I think we're getting a really good strong string of releases and the quality is quite high. And yeah, it's got its ups and its downs. I'm relishing it, of course, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. But there is the yin and yang of it all. Sometimes it is very difficult. I mean, there's people I know in the scene, friends even, who I have to kind of reject as well, and it puts you in a very difficult position. But I suppose why I've been asked to do this, because I'm very honest and open when it comes to feedback and things. Not criticism, but just honest and open what we want and how we can help. So yeah, see how it goes. It's doing well so far.
Together with Sean, I mean, what kind of sound are you looking for Tytanium? Do you have a specific, or do you just find tracks that fit?
It's not really a specific sound. It's more each track needs to have something unique, something that you won't get from another track. So if you're listening on a set in a club and your ears will prick up to something in that track, it's just something about it. It just needs to have something. I don't know what it is. Sean doesn't know what it is, but when we hear it, we know it's there.
Do you agree with it? Do you have the same ears for that?
Yeah, we agree on more stuff, but sometimes we disagree. Absolutely. This is probably why he's brought me in, because he doesn't want to take on all of the responsibility, because it then becomes his personal taste. Whereas sometimes I might hear something that he might not hear, or vice versa, and something really interesting or a production technique that hasn't been done before and sounds really cool, and that'll be a reason why the track will be signed. Just something fresh, good, driving, energetic, something that's really going to appeal to many DJs to play, other than generic. I'm not saying that all tracks that I've submitted are generic. If you rejected, they're not because they are generic. It's just sometimes we're looking for something really sort of different, but keeping to the. You know what? I can't even explain. It's the X factor. That's what we're after. Yeah.
And when you hear it, right?
Yeah, it's like that. I like this. This is something about this track, and then we'll go on and probably reply and say, "Come on, we're going to do a few little changes and make it a bit more like this, a bit more like that, but keep what you did there, keep this going." And yeah, it's very rewarding to work with other producers to help create a track which I wouldn't be able to do on my own, but this person might need a little help, or and the tracks evolve and they become really good. So the releases that are due are really good releases. So I'm excited for them.
Do you have any tips for producers who send in tracks when it comes to anything?
I mean, there's no problems whatsoever in having inspiration from someone, but completely copying sounds and emulating others might not get you the furthest. Have your own, do what you do, have your own flavour, your own twist, your own sort of stamp on everything you do. But have influences, that's perfectly natural and it's fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't make music for others. If there's tweaks needed for labels and stuff, that's fine. But make music for you, what you think will sound good and what you want. If you want some crazy ideas and crazy leads and crazy riffs, do it. Go for it. And there'll always be someone to help you along to achieve a certain quality or standard. It's no preference in music, it's just a standard of quality. So, yeah, the advice would be just keep doing what you're doing and do it your way. And eventually that will become your signature mark and you'll be known for that.
Good points. The third thing about, or the third point of your top 3 moments was seeing your own name on a flyer, on a poster. October 6th, 2012 in France, right?
That was my very first gig. And that's not even that long ago. It's crazy. And to show you how much stuff has really evolved and snowballed since then. My very first gig was actually playing after Sean and Fairy Tale in France. And yeah, I kept the poster for the event because it was my very first kind of official gig as Darren Porter, the trance producer. It was my first gig. And looking back now, it was really good. I enjoyed every minute. But also thinking back now, I was terrified. I mean, beyond scared. I was so nervous. But yeah, it's one of those experiences which will definitely rank in the top 3. First gig, first kind of release, and first time you work with somebody you like. So yeah, why not?
And then your first gig was actually the second time you ever touched a pair of CDJs, right?
Yeah. Like I say, I was a music composer. I make music for movies and stuff, and I enjoy trance, so I just wanted to be a trance producer, and I thought, okay, you make a track. This is the naivety we were speaking about earlier. You make a track, sign a record label, and that's it. Everybody knows who you are. And it's not as simple as that. You need both. You need both strings to your bow. You need to DJ, and you need to produce. And that only dawned on me about 2011 time, 2010, when I realised, oh shit, we need to sort of need to make this happen. So I had to kind of rent or borrow some CDJs before my gig, and I had literally a day or two. And I practiced so much. So this is one of the reasons why I was so scared and nervous the first time. But everything went fine. I'd done enough practice, I think. So I'm kind of lucky to be a producer who needs to learn to DJ, rather than being a DJ who needs to learn to produce, because I believe that the other way around, I've heard from others, that it's a lot more difficult to learn to produce. So yeah, I'm fine now. Obviously a few years have passed on, and I'm pretty comfortable, but that was scary. The realization hit home to how much effort and preparation needs to go into making this work. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it wasn't the best set forever. It wasn't. It was pretty much my first set. But you learn and you listen, and it also helped you produce differently as well, because when you're at home, you listen to trance music and you're listening to the big ethereal breakdowns and loads of little elements. This kind of stuff doesn't translate to a nightclub. So the more gigs that I do, it kind of influences how you produce to make it sound better on stuff on gigs as well. So yeah, it's hand in hand. So you need both producer and DJ, and learn the craft.
How did you grow into, I mean, I've seen the DJ life up close. It's actually a really hard life, traveling, playing, and going back. I mean, how did you grow into the role of being a world-traveling DJ?
I don't think I've grown into it yet. I'm aging very, very rapidly. Tired. The problem is just sort of fatigue. If you think about, okay, we have a gig on a Saturday night, sometimes like a Friday night and Saturday night, in the same city, so you prepare on the Thursday. So by the time you leave, you get a good night's rest on the Thursday. You fly Friday, you party Friday night, get very little sleep probably. You do the same Saturday, very little sleep, and then by the time Sunday, you're really tired. Your ears are tired. Night loud music for 2 nights running and stuff. When you get back home on Monday, you got to start producing again. So, but your ears are still tired, so you have to be sort of in the mood and fresh and ready to go Monday morning. That doesn't normally happen. Monday's normally sort of chill out day and just get yourself back into your rhythm of home. So Tuesday comes, then Tuesday, Wednesday, your ears might be okay. That's 2 days in the studio. Thursday, you got to prepare for the weekend again. So it's literally 2 or 3 days in the studio you have, which you have to cram as much stuff into for the weekend, and then you got to deal with other stuff. So this kind of all adds up to being pretty tired, and you don't really get days off. You don't really have any holiday pay. If you don't play, you don't get paid, and you don't pay the bills. So you need to really keep at it 24/7, and it kind of does take its toll a little bit. And I'm not even kind of at the level some guys are who are gigging far and wide long haul flights in like the Americas and Australia and Indonesia. Even the European flights, only 2 or 3 hour flights. But
you get affected from flying, right?
You still get affected from flying, yeah. I mean, for example, here when I came here, it's only, I mean, on a map it's not too far, but I had to fly from Leipzig to Frankfurt, and then I wait for a 4 hour transfer, and then fly 2 hours again, and it just all adds up. And by the time you get to the hotel about 6 p.m. in the evening, that's kind of winding down time, and you naturally, body wants to feel tired, but no, you will get prepared, get showered, get fresh, get out and go and party.
Yeah, then get on stage, right?
And then get on stage and be energetic and stuff. There's no point in being there and being dull zombie. You have to. So yeah, it takes it out of you. So the next day you really need to sleep, but you don't, because you have to get up early, back to the airport again. So I wouldn't change. I'm not complaining, but it can be a little harder than what you'd expect. That's all.
I actually had a chat with Anya as well before this interview. You were a girlfriend, and she told me about a talk you guys had about, like, to the day, actually 3 years prior to transfusion, right?
Okay, yeah. 3 years prior to transfusion, almost to the day, we kind of met at Trance Energy, I think it was, 2009, 2010. And I wasn't really even in the scene at this point. I really wasn't. I was just there as a party goer, a fan even. And I kind of jokingly said to Anya, give me 3 years and I'll be on that stage. And she kind of gave me, oh, bless you, sort of smile. And literally 3 years to the day, we were, it wasn't at Trans Energy, but a similar kind of party. It was Transfusion, and there I was playing Transfusion on that stage, and Anya was there, and I gave her a little wink and a smile, and it was a really nice moment. As of it was something I set a goal for 3 years. I would like to be sort of at this stage in my career, and it's worked. So and I'm eventually there, and hopefully we keep going. So we need to set something more. So yeah, that was a little thing between us, but yeah, it was a cool moment.
What's the hardest thing in striving towards becoming a successful producer and a DJ?
I don't know. The hardest thing, just try to become I mean, what's a successful producer? What's a successful DJ? For me, the success is doing what I want to do for a living. I get to travel, I get to make music, and I get to make a living from it. To me, I've succeeded. Anything else that comes now, and whether it's the fame or the fortune or whatever comes on top, is just cherry on the cake. So I've strived out of necessity more than anything else for me to do, and the love of it, of course. But as far as I'm concerned, I've succeeded. I'm doing what I want to do. I've had a release. I've worked with who I wanted to work. The top 3 moments you've had, I've ticked all those boxes. I hit the target of playing at a bigger venue, such as within 3 years. I've ticked that box. I'm happily in relationships, settled down, and so yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I've succeeded. Now anything else is just sweetening the deal.
I'm happy to hear this. Actually, that you are aware of what you accomplished so far as well.
It's not really accomplished in the whole scheme of things to what I wanted to accomplish. So whether my goals are very small compared to others, I don't care. That's my goals, and I've done that. So instead of setting my goals to sort of, I'm going to be a millionaire in the next 3 years, it's not going to happen. I mean, it might happen. You can try. I mean, I have no problem anybody setting goals that high. Of course not. But the littler goals, in hindsight now, there are relatively small goals to achieve. But before that, they weren't. They were pretty far away. And now I've achieved them. It's really satisfying, and I pick my goals carefully, realistically achievable, and it gives you something to work towards. And it's a really nice, satisfying feeling to be able to do what I'm doing now. So I'm very thankful for all the opportunities I get. Every time I get offered a gig, every time I get offered a remix, every time I release a track, or even somebody recognises me, asks for a photograph, I'm more grateful and happy to do it, because it's the goals that you set yourself, and you achieve them, so it's good.
If we flip it around, I'm a bit speechless because it's interesting, but if we flip it around, have you ever questioned yourself and said, like, fuck it, I'll get a 9-to-5 job instead, or?
Yeah, I have, actually, because when I moved over to Germany, it was, again, a bit of a naive move to do. Obviously, I don't regret it for a moment, because moving to Germany, I had to learn language. I had to figure out what I was going to do after my money ran out. I had very little savings I came over with, and once that had gone, well, how am I going to live? I can't live off nothing, and I can't speak the language. I'm going to need to get a job. And I knew I'd give myself a time frame that I'm going to have to make this work. And if I didn't do that, I was going to have to be literally, I'm going to have to go back to the UK, leave my girlfriend, and go get a 9-to-5 job. And that's not an option. It really wasn't going to be an option. I wasn't going to leave my partner. I wasn't going to leave Anya. I wasn't going to leave this whole thing behind, because knowing how much I put in, how much I was working hard towards it. So, yeah, there was a couple of times where I thought, I can't keep this up. But I did. So, yeah, I kept going. And sometimes you think twice. It's hard to receive negativity sometimes, but it's part of the job. You have to. Not everything's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody can improve. And when you hear a bit of negativity, it's like, oh, well, is it worth it? There's always, you don't want to keep it up. It's not worth it anymore. But it really is worth it, because what would I rather be doing this, or would I rather be doing a 9-to-5? No, I'd rather be doing this any day of the week. So, yeah, just keep it
up. In the studio, what comes first? Like, is it beats or is it melody?
Beats.
Always?
Most of the time. Most of the time. It's hard to start without being sort of
generalizing, but yeah.
For me personally, I find it easier to write melodies, because I have a background in composition and musical theory, so I have a bigger, better grasp of how melodies work and how harmonies work and stuff. So melody, I will never sort of panic on a melody. I wouldn't just sort of quickly write a melody, or that'll do, and now I'll work around it.
So is melody the easy part, you mean? Because you have the experience?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I like to do my beats first, the tone of the track, the groove, the feel, and that'll dictate where I want to go with the music. And if I end up in a sort of really big ambient area, I want to fill this out with nice big lush sort of swell and growing sounds. and this will kind of dictate how the melody will go. It'll be a nice sort of smooth, linear melody, or it could be a really aggressive track, and then I have a really smooth melody, but it's not going to work. I want really an aggressive melody with this, so the melody will come and be pretty aggressive and a bit sort of edgy. So yeah, I like to do my groove, my sort of tone and overall feel of the track first, and then the melody will probably come. I always sort of do my melodies when I get to my breakdowns. I decide what I'm going to do about then. Yeah.
What is it like to work on collaborations with other producers?
It's very interesting because everybody works differently. And I've worked with some producers more than once, as you know. I mean, Fairy Tale, but the third time we've just worked with him, because we have very similar ideas in melody. We have very similar ideas in how sounds work together, how you build an atmosphere, how you build a feel of a track. And then there's other producers I work with, like Gareth Weston, for example. We have an understanding with the sort of the grooves and ideas and grit and aggressiveness in a track. So we work together well with that kind of style. When I work with Sean as well, it wasn't. I mean, we don't always work together and everything's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, there's not arguments, but there's a lot of disagreements, a lot of sort of to and fro. We'll change this, we'll try that, we'll change this, we'll try that. Like, for example, on Nova 7 with Sean, there must have been about 5 or 6 different rewrites of the melody. Just tiny little tweaks. Whether we're both 100% still happy, I don't know. I am Sean, but I don't know about you. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I like to collaborate because I like to see how others work. And I've also just finished a collaboration with Reorder, who came to my studio, and I was interested in working with him. And he has some good melody ideas, and he was interested in my techniques and certain bass sounds and drive and energy and things. And it worked really well. Now, and I can't wait for the track to come out, actually. And yeah, you pick up ideas, you pick up techniques, and you try to include them in your own sound, and you grow as a producer by working with other people, absolutely. So yeah, I really enjoy collaborating.
It's interesting to hear what it gives you to work with other people as well, like showing you new tricks and stuff like that, I guess, as well, right?
It is. It's sometimes you can find, when you're producing, you can find yourself always going back to the same way of doing stuff. Same kick drum, same sort of pattern, same bass line, similar sound, and you'll get this generic sort of your own sort of general sound. And I'm guilty of that. I really am guilty, and this is why I like to collaborate, to take on different ideas. And your personal ideas evolve, and your sound evolves, so you don't become stagnant, which is the worst thing you can do, I think, as a solo producer. So taking inspiration or ideas from elsewhere, by whether it's listening to different styles of music or working with somebody else, I thoroughly encourage this.
Like you said before, you and Fairy Tale's third Neptune track was just finished, right?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the track?
The track is the final chapter in the sort of the Neptunes trilogy. We wanted to keep the original feel of the other two. That's the last one, so we needed to get the vocalist back involved, and we did that. But we wanted to try a different flavour, a little bit more of a bigger room sound, a bit harder, a bit more banging, a little bit more melodic, not as soft or as ambient. So we consciously went out and made a different feel for the last one. And I'm personally happy with it. I'm really, really, really satisfied with it, and I'm sure Ferry is as well. He again came to my studio. We had the weekend together, and we tuned forward and ideas and stuff. And this was a track that just sort of evolved. Again, we didn't set out to do a melody. We didn't set out to do the drive. We just sat and played with different ideas and different sound textures, and something's kind of just sort of eventually molded itself into what it was. And then we just added the parts to it to make it feel like the other Neptunes tracks, to keep it all together. And I think it's got a nice contrast between what you would expect from the Neptunes track and the sort of the new sort of big room driving sort of energetic sound.
How hard is it when two solo producers come together and do a collaboration? How hard is it to find the sound for the collaboration?
It depends on the producer, I suppose. From the first time I worked with Ferry, we got on really well. All of our ideas clicked, and he was sort of playing around with sound design and playing ideas, and I was too. And when we both heard something, we were sort of both nodding at the same time. There was a nice chemistry and it connected, so we knew that it was going to be pretty seamless, and it was seamless. But I'm yet to work with somebody who doesn't share my ideas. But the chances are I probably wouldn't work with somebody who I kind of already know in advance who wouldn't share my ideas, because it would be a sort of a difficult process, I think. And it would the end result wouldn't be something I'm entirely happy with, or something the other person isn't entirely happy with.
It would be too different, yeah.
It'll be 50% of what you would expect.
Yeah.
It's not 50% as good as what you would do on your own. So there's no point in that.
You mentioned Gareth Weston as well. What is it like to be in the studio with Gareth Weston?
It's emotional. Varied emotions. No, it's so much fun. So much fun. Every time I go back home, because he lives in my hometown, as you know, in Newcastle. So when I go back home to visit my parents and the family, I always make time to go up and see Gareth and do a little bit of studio work. And it's just always a fun idea. But the thing with Gareth is he takes everything you would suggest on board, and he likes to know why, and he goes into depth. Why would you do this? Why was that work? Why? He wants to know why, and improving so much so often. And he has some really crazy ideas too, which it's like, really, actually, no, let's try that, and then it works. So we bounce off each other really well, and we have so much fun. He just needs to cut down on the melon and the bacon.
So working on the well, I don't know what I'm working on, to be honest. It's turned into a bit of a hybrid, but it's nearly dinner time.
What would you like for dinner, Gareth?
Well, this morning it was pancakes and crumpets. A little bit heavy, I think.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had a lot of meat, chicken, fish.
Bacon.
Bacon, always bacon.
Need some melon.
Need melon or something healthier.
Yes.
What's healthy?
Something perhaps with potatoes.
Potatoes and of course our sea-bearing friend.
Okay. I think we should have. Are you ready? I think we should have
slow cook mackerel with ham pepper.
I actually had a chat with Gareth as well prior to this interview because I wanted to see if he had any questions for you, and he did actually.
Surprising.
This is from Gareth. Okay. So, what's your fascination with cream eggs, and what are they?
Okay, you don't know what Cadbury's cream eggs are?
No.
No?
Well, no. Explain to us, please.
Right, okay, well, I don't know if they're just a British thing, but Cadbury's cream eggs are chocolate eggs, yeah, big, yeah, and inside it has like a white kind of sweet paste kind of stuff, and it has a yellow stuff inside. It's like an egg, and they taste awesome. They're absolutely awesome. But you only get them around Easter time, and when Easter came, I think it was last year or maybe this year, I can't remember actually. And Easter came around, I was at home, to the family, and I remember being with Gareth. And it must have just been the initial excitement of me actually seeing some Cadbury's cream eggs, because you can't buy them in Germany, you can't buy them anywhere else. You can buy kind of similar or equivalent, but they're not cream eggs. So I was just happy, and Gareth must have found it very amusing that I was very excited about some cream eggs. So I bought some cream eggs. I bought a lot of cream eggs.
And a second question from Gareth right here is, as some of you know, Gareth is moving to Saudi Arabia, right? For a long time.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to him. He's just been offered the opportunity for the job and stuff, which is going to be very hard to refuse. So we might not see him in the scenes as much as we used to. I mean, hopefully he does stick around. But yeah, I just want to say good luck, mate, and hope to see you around soon.
Yeah, that's nice. And the question for that was that he had for you is, will you miss him?
He knows I'm going to miss him, but we'll have our cyber chats. We'll have our Skype conversations. Probably we'll still keep that up, but those need to stay private because sometimes it wouldn't even go on TV. Yes, I will miss you very much, Gareth. Good luck, man.
What else do you have coming up right now? If we look at like the coming 6 months,
I have 2 collaborations. One with Fairy Tale, one with Riorda due out. I have a remix also due out for Johan Gielen, which I'm really happy with. I should just test drive that last night actually, and it worked pretty well. So I'm excited for this one. I'm also working on a follow my next solo, because I went too long between solo.
yeah, it took 12 months, right, between Spellbound and Terraforming.
Yeah, it's just been so busy, studio time, gigging and other projects and things. It's been so busy, so finding time for myself. I mean, I like to put a lot of time into my tracks, so, I mean, my personal tracks, I mean, I'm known to be able to do a remix pretty quickly, because the idea is already there for you. You just need to put your twist on them, so it's a lot easier. Whereas my own originals, I like to spend a lot of time on melodies and things, so it's finding the time and the creativity and the freshness, and you feel motivated to do it. So I've decided to go straight in and get started right away, and I'm about 50% done. I know where I want to go with it, and I'm very excited to get back. Every free moment I've got on the studio, I need to get back and get that done, because I'm really happy to be working on it now. So yeah, solo and 2 collaborations so far this year, and probably many more to come. Hi, it's Darren Porter in Stockholm with Kidson Media, and thank you for watching.